Welcome, everyone, to our Evolutionary Leaders community call on coherence. So you may have noticed that our world seems more than slightly chaotic at the moment. Everything seems to be in turmoil. All the old systems are breaking down. The climate is unstable. The political landscape is insane. And the word coherence keeps bubbling up in our Evolutionary Leaders community. So for those of you watching who are not familiar with us, I'm Deborah Moldau. I'm the director of the Evolutionary Leaders, which is an initiative of the Source of Synergy Foundation. So on today's program, we're going to have a discussion among the evolutionary leaders present that will be led by Anna-Marie Voorhoeve and Kara Stonehouse of the Hague Center for Global Governance, Innovation, and Emergence, and Teresa Collins, who is co-founder of the Global Coherence Pulse and who partners with Julie Krull and others on the Connection Field and its new Catapult initiative. So Dr. Julie Krull could not be with us this morning, so she sent us an opening meditation with some of her reflections on coherence. So we are going to start with Dr. Julie Krull, and I'm going to practice my screen sharing abilities.
I wish I were there with you today in this room. This topic is so important to me, but I'm not available to be with you live. So thank you, Deborah, for asking me to contribute in this way. You know, consciousness and coherence are really important topics right now on the planet. And just to think of coherence itself, it's really not the goal, it's the doorway. It's not a state to attain, but what I believe is the frequency that reveals the true nature of reality when we stop striving and begin listening. So this embodied consciousness is an important topic. I look forward to listening to the replay. So I get the honor of bringing you into coherence as a whole. Let's all start with a conscious breath together. And if you can, just close your eyes and take a conscious breath. Slow down. Put your feet on the ground and try to feel for that pulse of Mama Gaia Sophia and her heartbeat moving through all of us. We're all beloved kin of the evolutionary impulse here. And as we gather in this circle today, across distances and time zones and life paths, know that the field has already drawn us into coherence. Breathe that in. Relax in the awareness of the coherent field that envelops us and buoys and guides, informs, not by effort, but by resonance, not by agenda, but by alignment. So take another deep breath, conscious breath, and let your awareness gently drop into your heart. Not the metaphoric heart, the living intelligence of the heart field. Sense the rhythm, feel the pulse. Notice that it's not isolated, but already listening to the room, to the world, to the whole. We're not breathing alone. We're not thinking alone. We're not dreaming alone. Even now in our coherence and participating in a larger pattern, we can feel this coherence, this divine designing intelligence moving in and around all of us here on the call. This is the harmonic convergence of an awakening humanity. So allow your breath to be a tuning fork. Allow your embodied presence to be a tuning fork. Sense that what that means to you in this moment. Sense into how your embodied presence, your embodied coherence is tuning. And as you exhale here, exhale any tension you might feel in your body, but also any interference you might have from that tuning, from that tuning in, being a transceiver of this field. Another conscious breath. Allow the breath to anchor our collective into the now, where all timelines collapse into a single living pulse. Heart of the whole, right here, right now. Feel it. It's a field of presence. This field of presence moves through the wholeness of that which we are all a part and particle. As we listen, reflect, or hold space in our own way today, may this be more than a meeting of minds. May this be a moment of field convergence, where coherence is more than a word or a phrase or a term. Where the coherence we embody becomes a message unto itself. Coherence is the evolutionary technology of the heart. It's the language of wholeness, the architecture of belonging, the frequency of remembrance. Let us rest here together for just a few more short breaths. In silence. Tuning in. May this moment ripple through the subtle planes. May it nourish the earth. May it inspire right timing, clear vision, and heart-led action in each one of us. And may we remember that coherence is not something we create. It is what we become when the veil of separation lifts. We are embodied coherence. We are the resonance that remains when the sweet sound of love strikes a chord of remembrance within us. And one more conscious breath as you gently bring your awareness back into the Zoom room. And I wish you all well. I hope you enjoy your time together. Again, thank you, and I look forward to the recording.
Thank you so much, Dr. Julie Krull, for that beautiful meditative opening, bringing us into a state of coherence. And I love what Julie said about releasing the interference. I'm sure that most of us have had that experience in our meditation when interference keeps coming up. And we need to learn and to teach ourselves how to release that so that we can enter that field of oneness. That is our true nature. And where our power lies as a community and as a global community. So I'm really looking forward to what we learned today about the explorations into coherence from our discussion leaders. And I'd like to start by asking Anna Marie and Kara, who have done such beautiful work on this topic, what we mean by coherence and why is it important? Why has it gotten your attention at this time? So Anna Marie, if you'd like to start us off.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Well, the work that we've done has been inspired by many of also us here, I would say. I think the first time I consciously started to hear about it was from Erwin Laszlo when he was speaking about coherence and supercoherence in 2014. And at that time, we started to look at what could help us to come into some kind of coherence that we didn't have. Well, I didn't have a real important sense of what it is. And that a story, one kind of, well, a kind of way of looking at the world would be helpful for that. And so we went looking for these kind of ways of looking at reality, and of course learned so much from Jude, who is here as well. And that time when then we came into that unitive narrative that we've been exploring here in the ELs, I think has made it even more important and also more tangible, I would even say. So in 2022, we were speaking with each other in the Hague Center about, what could be a topic that we could work on in a more European context, and that we could also work with other partners around. And this topic came up. So everything that we've shared here is really a co-creative process of those partners within that 3-year journey that we were given by some funding from the EU, and of course all of us here also experimenting with it because of the resonance that is in the ELs to really come to this other way of working together and this alignment around certain parameters of which we look at the world and then exploring and looking at how we can continue, also like with the explorations we did with dear Barbara Marx Hubbard with the wheel of co-creation as a way to do that. So in our journey with the 5 partners, 12 people in that EU project that we call Cohere Plus, we came up with a working definition after we have been speaking with, one of the partners has been speaking with many leaders, mapping out conscious networks, first defining with each other, what do we mean by that, using spiral dynamics. So we're all used to looking at spiral dynamics integral, using that as a framework. and coming up and looking also, of course, at hard math and at many of us here and seeing what could be workable to do this research in. And we came up as a working definition, and I'm just going to read that to give it precise, knowing that, there are many ways of looking at it and that it has to reflect some kind of dynamic state of alignment, order, resonance within and between systems. The working definition we have worked with in these past 3 years, and that we will be continuing to share some more about, is a state of harmony and alignment where all parts of a system work in sync to support both the whole and the freedom and efficiency of its parts in order to actualize its goals. So I'll say, I'll put it in, I'll post it in I'm not so good at multitasking, but I will post it in a minute. A state of harmony and alignment where all parts of a system work in sync to support both the whole and the freedom and efficiency of its parts in order to actualize its goals. And as we were let's say the lead, well, we are all stewards of the same process, but anyway, we were the ones as the Hague Center. We brought in the unitive narrative, we brought in the movie, and we brought in also our energetic architectural work that we do within the Hague Center as eco-intention, so that we could really explore. And it's pretty amazing that the EU funded that kind of work, that we were able to somehow bridge it, or have, you have one person that is reviewing these things, that there was a resonance there. And we also did a lot of energy work around that to bring it with some light into the world. So in that sense, the resources, I think that is free, available for anybody. So we'll put the links there as well, because that is part of what the EU funding offers us, that anything that we develop, we can offer for free. Is I think, well, I'm really curious about this. So I don't feel myself so much as a discussion leader, but more that people that have really focused on this for 3 years and seen how and where we can make it available, learn from it, and serve the work that we're doing, which very much has to do with the life cycle of emergence, of how we can support our different networks and ways of working with a very heart-centered approach, and bringing light and love into our presence as much as we can, because that's the longing that we hold. And I'll stop here.
Well, Anne-Marie, I think you're actually a perfect discussion leader, because you've started us off with such a clear definition of coherence. And Cara, thank you for putting that in the chat, as well as the link to the work that the Hague Center has been engaged with. It is miraculous that you were able to obtain funding from the European Union. And I think the fact that it was partly your energetic focus on that helped smooth that along, that's a lesson for us in our community as well. So let's hear from Cara about the work that she's been doing on this. Hello, Cara?
Yes, hi. I just want to share briefly on that link with the Hague Center. You can see some of our very interesting core results from the project. Or the first one is this map, where some people like Wendy Elliott and of eco-governance, Jan and Shelley shared a lot of, were very open with their data that they've collected over the years of who are all these systems changers, and we did research and desk work into the field as well, to collect who are 300 of the paradigm shifting agents, and we've arranged them into these kind of islands of coherence. And so it's fun to look at this map and click on it and find the different organizations and people who are on it, and just a fun way to group them into little islands of thought, really, with life. So life itself was doing that work.
And it's not complete, so they're all there. But at a certain point, we had to stop because kind of like, yeah, how long are we going to go on? No, we have to stop because otherwise, you get kind of like carried away.
Yes, and it's not that everyone's on it because they did quite a lot of research and saying a lot of detail about each of the organizations that were listed on the map. So, and there is opportunity to be also added to the map if that's if you ask for that. And also on this Cohere Plus learning portal, we put together some free online mini courses about the coherence capacities that we've been learning about and developing. And also on here, there's another way to look at this same map data where it's more filterable and you can search through by capacity and by area. And it's a little bit more easy to search through the information that way and more fun to look at it on that map. And so we've tested out this learning portal, and it's in the launch phase now for you to practice with it and play with us. And so it's just a mini courses, so it takes a couple hours to just take you through each capacity. So that's fun and free for all of us. And then the third one is the community guide. So that's we've written more of our results up about the deeper definitions and deeper thoughts about coherence and how do we build that community of coherence. And so I just want to just go over quickly the 5 capacities of building up a community of coherence that we identified, so that we can play with that today. Yes, so we call it our taxonomy of capacities. So there's 5 themes and 13 capacities, and we did 3 user levels meant we did a beginner, foundations, intermediate, and expert level of within those mini courses. So we have higher purpose in the center because it all comes from there. We're paradigm dynamic change agents, systems transformers. We were hoping for the best in peace and unity, so that higher purpose is really the glue that holds everything together. And then it starts with the personal coherence, so each have to be doing our own internal work to be able to be coherent with a bigger system. So working on our own self-awareness, getting clear on our purpose and how that relates to the collective purpose, and how do we navigate complexity? What are the skills and activities and thought patterns that we want to be encouraging each other in to be navigating complexity together. So in that learning portal, there's a course on each one of these sticky note capacities. Oops. So then we go up a level when we're more than one of us, 2 of us, we're wise relating. So this is where we balance cohesion versus coherence, where cohesion is when we all get along, we're all the same, we all belong, but sometimes we don't challenge the norms, and sometimes we get a little stuck in simply us versus them kind of mentality, whereas we're leaning people towards cohesion, towards coherence, where we're more open to diversity. We can really face challenges and tensions together. And so then we need trusted processes for working through tensions together, because in normal modern society, we've not taught that very well. It's always like, oh, I don't want to touch the tensions because something might explode and I'm not safe. So how do we create that safety together? So Dale Allen came and did a beautiful session with us in World Unity Week about, am I safe with you? How do we know? How do we build this safe room for each other? And then that's the wise relating with 2. And as we grow into more of a community, how do we develop these structures and culture of our community that's in coherence? So you're talking about how do we nurture a culture of coherence through care and time and dialogue, and how do we create effective community processes and structures? So learning a lot from what we've done with World Unity Week was a lot of good examples of how we're building structure in the Mighty Networks, and Teresa's doing that as well, and so we're just learning we're all learning together. How does that work, and how can that work even better? And Living Cities Earth as well as learning in that iteration process. And then sort of on the next level up, thinking bigger, and how we're starting to make bigger plans together and have a bigger impact together using coherence. We start to really value into how do we see the whole together? So how do we get that collective intelligence really working? So what are the processes, and how do we put that in the forefront? Like, oh, how do we help everyone see the whole? Not how do we how do we have, not how do we have a vision and steps to get there, but how do we help everyone see and feel the whole together so we can actually act from that collective intelligence? So it's a slightly different angle that a community organizer might take, and so it might means you focus on different maps and that sort of thing. And then how do we build these aligned visions and strategies together in coherence? So one of the ways that we share about is to using this embodied collective intelligence. So using the constellation work and the collective visioning and sourcing so that we really feel the vision together. We feel the ceremony together. I really loved the moment in Sedona when we got that huge gong and we went through a portal together. That was so beautiful. That was like that collective embodied intelligence. We felt like I think it was Deborah, you said, I feel like we just went through the 7th dimension or something. That was so good. And then the collective impact and voice. And I feel like we're making great progress on this with the Evolutionary Leaders group. How are we doing that collective voice and storytelling? Not that we all have one story that we all repeat or a dogma, but that we have this collective voice in the world that's starting to resonate and be heard and attract into the mainstream. And then how are we having this with our impact? How are we making optimal agency? So are we sharing power so that each group has enough agency that they can move forward, but not concentrating power too much, but not spreading it out too much either, that nothing works, so finding that optimal level of using sociocracy and all these kinds of governance tools together. And then there's the energetic leadership, so we're balancing the yin and yang energies and that sort of thing to create those things. So personal, individual, wise relating between individuals, developing those structures for the community, getting that social architecture working for impact, and getting that impact and voice out into the world. So those are the big capacities, and so we can get to be reflecting on those a little bit later in the program. So thanks for listening.
Wow, what beautiful work. Just to be able to see it mapped out like that is, I think, really powerful, especially for us, for the Evolutionary Leaders as a community, and also for the Evolutionary Partners Network, to really have a sense of how you build coherence. So thank you so much for that, and for all of the work that you both are doing with the Hague Center. It's beautiful, it's powerful, and we appreciate you very much for sharing it with us. And Charles just put your diagram in the chat, so thank you.
Yeah, feel free to use the material, and for us also to see how we can continue. We applied for another form, but we didn't. We had the high points, but there was no budget anymore. So we're holding the light for it still to receive. But anyway, it's so close to our heart. We will be doing it, and we'll be sharing anyway. So Teresa has arrived. Yay!
And on your website, on the hagecenter.org/cohere-project, one of the primary phrases that I saw there was, "What island of coherence do you fit on?" And I first heard that phrase, "island of coherence," from
island.
One island. Well, I think we're probably on multiple islands.
Islands. Yes.
In this day and age. But I first heard that phrase from Teresa Collins of the Global Coherence Pulse, and I'm delighted that she's joined us today, and I can't wait to hear a little bit about what you mean by coherence and why it's important, Teresa.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I'm so bummed that I missed some of your presentation, Kara. We're going to have some time together, because I got a chance to see a little bit of it when you sent it along to Deborah when we were talking about this event, and super inspired that there's another group that's exploring, like, what does it actually take to come together in collaboration with coherence as a goal, as a compass. And I can see that you've done some beautiful work around that, and I can't wait to cross-pollinate. Love to have your course available to the community in the connection field, the more that we can begin to cluster the islands of coherence that are emerging, the greater the impact that we're going to have on the whole of life.
Exactly.
So I'm excited, and I hope I'll see more in this event today. And thank you all for coming today. What does coherence mean to me? I mean, I see the definition that Anne-Marie and Kara put, and I agree 100%, right? That state of harmony and balance and alignment in a system. I think that coherence is our natural state. I actually think that life is constantly coming into a state of balance. It's looking for how to come in and come into alignment. And as we awakened that we're actually part of everything, we're starting to realize that coherence is our natural state of being. When I'm in coherence, I would describe it as inner presence and outer radiance. There's this calm and centeredness inside of me. And at the same time, that energy is wanting to emerge as my unique contribution into the whole of life. So I really feel that balance between this inner stillness and outer radiance. When I'm in coherence, I feel like I'm in a harmonic relationship with life. I feel less like I'm the one directing how this is going to go because I'm passionate about making a difference. And instead, I'm in partnership with an energy that's both emerging from me and showing up in response to my energy, and we're dancing together. And the more that I can relax and not take this step over the partnership, right? I stay in my lane and I approach life from that place, the more I find myself experiencing magic, the more I find myself experiencing the majesty that is this life that we have, and this opportunity that we have to co-create something, boy, radically new. The first time that I heard the word coherence was way back when I met Barbara Marx Hubbard, and she was doing a talk at an event I was hosting, and she was saying something. I can't even remember what she was saying. And she pointed at me and she said, "See, she knows what I'm talking about." And somehow whatever she was saying reflected something that I was experiencing that I didn't yet have words for. And I think that that word eventually was coherence, because not too long after that, I heard this quote: "When a system is far from equilibrium, small islands of coherence in that sea of chaos has the capacity to lift the entire system to a higher order." That was Ilya Prigogine. He was a Nobel laureate, right? It was like a real science kind of thing. And the second that I heard it, every cell in my body said, that's it. There's going to be a moment in our future, and I believe that moment is right now. We are a system far from equilibrium. And it needs to be far from equilibrium in order for the kind of change that's coming to be possible. So I knew in that moment that small islands of coherence were the answer. And at some moment in our future, the quality of our coherence individually and collectively would be needed. And I had no idea what that meant. So that took me on the journey that I've been on for 30 years, creating learning communities, exploring presence and resonance and coherence and emergence, and discovering along the way, what does that really mean? And honestly, the more I let go of trying to figure it out, and the more that I dropped inside to the imaginal soul that I am, to the frequency of what I was becoming that didn't look like the world outside, the more that I accepted that there was something new coming. And the more I paid attention to that, the more that I would be aligned with the newness, that I really started to discover what coherence was as an embodied state more than an idea. And I think we're at that point now on the planet where lots of people are waking up that there's a consciousness shift occurring, and we're all kind of feeling it. But I think that there's a need right now, and kind of Kara, what you guys are doing, what we're doing with the connection field, what we're all doing in whatever way we are, to move from the idea quickly into an integrated in-body experience of what's emerging through each of us in this time of great change. So I don't know, that's like a little long way to say what I think coherence is, but that's what comes out as I rushed into my seat to join you today.
I think that was a very inspiring way to say what coherence is all about. And we are all ready for the magic and the majesty, Teresa. So thank you so much for that. So I'd love to hear now from each of the three of you a little bit about what you're doing now, what's moving forward. You spoke a little bit about where the Hague Center is with this project. So maybe Teresa, you want to start that with what you are doing, what you and Julie are doing together, and you know, where coherence is leading you and us.
Yeah. I'm sorry Julie can't be on the call today, and hopefully we'll get to have another conversation that she's involved in. I've watched what coherence has done for Julie Krull, and I have to say, boy, that girl is really got the inner stillness and the outer radiance happening in a big way. I don't know if you've listened, you know, some of her writings these days, the catapult journey. Wow, that girl has really, really got it. I'll start by saying, you know, I originally created the Islands of Coherence along with the Global Coherence Pulse. Because I'm somebody that I'm great. I love that we can inspire people by events, all the learning communities I worked for with Nassim Haramein or Gene Keys with Richard Rudd or Barbara Marx Hubbard. People were attracted because they were inspired by a new idea. They were inspired by a message that resonated with what was emerging inside of them. And I loved that. But for me, it wasn't enough for people to be inspired. They needed to have some place where they could start to like learn about and engage and embody those ideas. So I always created the community space along with the inspirational offerings. So the Islands of Coherence was kind of part of my pattern. And we did that for 2 years, and we had lots of members, and we created a wonderful course, cultivating coherence in community. But for me, it always worked best if there was a collaboration of organizations, because it's a lot of work to create a community and to create content and keep it going. So I had been tapping on Julie Krull and Scarlett with Unify and Heart Math and others to say, what if we collaborated together, had an experiment where we could see how we could serve our communities better together, and that we could actually practice collaboration at a different scale. Would you be interested? Well, after 2 years of banging on the door, a group finally said yes. And so we spent the first year really taking time, and Kara, I really resonate with all of the different layers that you said. Like, we didn't rush through to create something right away. We actually took time to cultivate the relationship with each other, to see what we cared about, to see what each person really wanted to offer. And we started to notice how every one of us was doing 10 jobs. Our organization was working way too hard to try to accomplish all the things that were needed by the communities. And as we started to listen to what each person could bring, wow, we were seeing that we had a lot to offer. And if we each offered what we essentially were here to offer, then we would have a richness. So we spent the time, and I really encourage anybody that's wanting to do a collaboration with community around these ideas, really take the time to see what's true for each person and not rush ahead of that. And so in the first year, I can show you what we did as part of that process, and then I'll zip into the connection field. We took a year, like you guys, and we created a manual, an operating manual for effective collaboration. And this was really just us documenting what we were discovering as we were doing that. So I'll jump into the table of contents. This hasn't been made public yet, but we're going to do that this year. And so we had these different, let me just pop this open so you can see over here. So we created this framework at the end of the first year to express what we thought was important. One, we needed to have that unified framework. Like we all agreed that we believed that we were actually part of a unified field, that a unified worldview was at the core of everyone on the collaborative team. So that was our alignment. And we aligned around that. And our alignment had to do with how we set agreements, how we cultivated coherence, what was our why. So we made sure we took time for that. And then we kind of went into that part of emergence, the collective intelligence, as you guys were talking about. How is AI beginning to amplify our human potential? We set a goal to build to learn, not to last. As a group of collaborators that all had their own organizations, we weren't committed to like, we're going to make this thing last for 20 years and it's going to be like this. We were going to build something and we were going to learn as we go. And as long as it was being effective, as long as that we were enjoy doing it, as long as we were learning something, then we were going to stay with it. In some of the unitive framework that I missed was like inspired by nature, the commitment to lifting the ceiling of what's possible, what critical skills were there. And then as we got to the end of the year, releasing resistance, we had to all really, yeah, Kara's like clapping. We all had to really let go of trying to make something happen or our resistance to what was occurring. And we really needed to drop into a deeper level of co-creation. We really needed to look at what our purpose was and make changes that were mindful. So we have this available and we're going to make it available to everyone. We're going to have some fireside chats on the different kind of topics that are inside of it that we think would be valuable for people as a way for us just to share, like, boy, the first year was a big deal of us letting go and letting something else come. And while we were doing that, I'll keep my screen shared. I'm going to pop to another thing. We started the connection field. And the reason that I let go of the islands of coherence and created a brand new mighty network was because now I had 6 to 10 new partners, and I didn't want them to feel like they were joining my thing. I wanted them to feel like we were creating our thing. So we completely let go of one and created another. Building to learn, not to last, right? So the connection field right now is a reflection of 10 different organizations, individuals who are all offering something to the community. And as a result, we have a super rich offering. You can see this is our global feed. Different people are putting information here. If you want to scroll, this
We're
is
not
a
seeing
really...
it, I don't think, Teresa. I think you have to change something because it's still the same
Okay.
page.
Yeah, let's do that. Here we go. Thanks for letting me know.
That's right.
This is our global feed here. And if you're looking for a healthy feed where the things are related to coherence, here's Charles posting in there, things that are inspiring and supporting coherence cultivation, for choosing to align with life, you're going to find it here. The other thing that's super exciting, and this is where the collaboration comes in, there is something almost every day that somebody can attend to be in a small group, to be practicing coherence, to be learning something. Here we have an imagined meditation today in just an hour, your love voice rising. Empowerment for Kids, one of our partners is the Coherence Education for Kids. We actually attended one of their classes where they were going to pulse the planet with love for all of the animals. And we brought the Global Coherence Pulse community there. They had 100 people on the line. They were so excited. So we have events happening all the time. And then, of course, in Mighty Networks, they've been adding all kinds of um, um, tools and things. And now community members can see how they relate to somebody else, where they might line up with something. We can see who's in our area so that we can start to form small clusters. And I'll tell you, one of our goals for 2026 is that we are going to encourage people to create local circles of coherence, not just be online here, because we really need to start clustering. We really need the support of global and local communities in order to be able to sustain the choice to be unified, to be connected to everything. And we really need that. So just a quick pass. We have public play spaces. Because we're a bunch of organizations that all have communities, it doesn't make sense for us to have like a membership necessarily, because we all need to have memberships. So we've decided that all of the stuff in the public play space is free to everyone. So there is tons of resources available for everyone. We did experiment with a member level, which is Julie's Imaginal Souls. And the people that are in it, it's a small group, but man, is it really potent to be in a co-mentoring space where we can really be together and deepen our learning. And what we're going to do this year is we're going to have some featured spaces. And we also created a space for some of our community members that were creating women's circles and 12-hour marathons or 7-week programs. And so what we're going to do this year, we just decided this, is that we're going to keep our public space open for everyone. And we're going to make coherence cultivation in community available to anybody that comes. And we use the Global Coherence Pulse, Catapult, and other free global events to invite people in. And then we'll have some featured spaces that we might run a 3-month cultivation and community retreat or something like that. And then all of our community would be able to offer things in this collaborative space. And we're going to experiment with different models of transaction. You can give somebody a tip because you loved their event that they had for you. We're going to incorporate pay as you go. Pay what you can. So we're going to suggest an amount for an event, but allow people to pay what they can for it. And then we're going to have some where there's actually a set fee. So we're going to, since we're going to keep things for free, we also need to create some sustainability for the organization and the system and for the community. So we're going to experiment with all of the different fun ways that people are offering. They have something called Buy Me a Coffee, and you can set up a little thing and people can tip you. So we're just going to see what happens. And then we're going to open up our collaboratory. And that's where that collaboration manual will be. And that's where some of us are going to start offering mentoring and coaching in collaboration and coherence, and offer things at more of a kind of executive level. So that's what we're up to. And it's just been like this one step at a time and empowering each person to do their part. And we're up to about 2,500 members, and everyone that's offering something, their impact has grown, their comfort in offering things to the community has grown, and the groups that are joining those calls every single day and the Global Coherence Pulse and all of it have grown. And people are saying that like this is their lifeline, having this place to be able to come. So yeah, this year, let's see if we can start to cluster in localities, and that we can also cluster with other organizations like what you guys are doing with the Hague Center. Because no matter what lighthouse people land in, whether it's One World or the Connection Field or the Hague Center or the relational AI, no matter where the universe calls you to cluster, we want to make sure that people can find exactly what they need to support them right now to stabilize and start to say, yes, I'm connected to everything and I'm going to live from that place. And I need help. I need community to be able to do that.
Bravo, Teresa.
Yeah, beautiful, wonderful.
Such
Yeah.
exciting, powerful work, and congratulations on all the success you've had in bringing groups together to empower individuals. It's really an amazing project, and I'm sure that many people listening are going to be very inspired to find out more about it. So before we open up the discussion to all the evolutionary leaders in the room, is there anything that Anne-Marie or Cara would like to say about where you're going with Coherence at the Hague Center?
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Teresa. Really were lovely. And we do really also recognize how you need to take time in the beginning to figure out what is my piece of the puzzle and what makes my heart sing. And we did that with the 12 people in our partnership as well. And that also being vulnerable in that space and saying what doesn't work, when do I fall out of my balance, so that we could support each other. So we practiced that because it was also a new group coming together. And so we do recognize that indeed, and I think that also sipes through the manual and things that you read. As the Hague Center, I'll just share that, Karen, then you can see what you want to align. But in our purpose, it's always connecting to where others are already and seeing when can we connect those islands of coherence or ways of working. So we don't usually build something ourselves; we build it together with others. And see whether there are then opportunities. And that is, I think, where we bring part of our practice. So this was very much for ourselves to learn, and in that learning and learning by doing, offering it to make it available for others. And in that partnership, some of them really want to, they are really bringing courses and that kind of thing. That's not our primary focus. Our primary focus is, yes, doing that to learn and to share. Our primary focus is to uplift and see how we can work with others and bring them together and bridge continents and learn through that again. And also to have the opportunity to understand how we can really have these conversations that matter, that might sometimes be really difficult. So what I've just come back from within Cape Town, how to do peace differently, was one of these 3.5 day inquiries where I was really inviting people into a different kind of space to come up with. And for that, I use a lot of the practice that we've been learning over these years. And Living Cities Earth is another one, is a network of 125 community, city managers, leaders, etc., that we're bringing together. And Cara is very active in that, and Hasina and Peter and others of us, and seeing how we can actually amplify and activate that in a larger way. And of course, we are continuing with One World, very much beautifully sharing there and doing a great, amazing learning journeys with John and Summer and others there, and supporting that in whatever way we can, and to really explore what are the new tools and techniques also in order for people to come into their own heart desire, presence, and how to uplift them, and then see how we can connect. So I can see some alignments and sharings, and I can also see that we just have a slightly different approach, which I think is beautiful. And that could be great to also see what you can, Teresa, what you and Julie can learn and use from the partnerships that we have in Cohere Plus and beyond, and in other things. Cara, is there something you want to share?
I'll be taking us through an activity in a moment, but I just want to reflect that taking a small group of some of us who are here through the World Unity Week, playing through the 5 capacities over the week was a really beautiful process. Taking one day on each capacity and doing workshops and tuning in and having speakers come to talk about each one. I could really feel the power and potential of that process. So I'd like to keep doing that kind of work with the community, so that we're really intentionally building our capacity of coherence as our communities, so that we can become even more transformative in the world. I think we're doing so great and have so much potential, and I think even just a little more fun focus, we can get even so much deeper and further together. And I'm applying
Thank
this
you
on the
so
big.
much.
Yeah,
Thank you, both of you. We are all building our capacities to be more transformative in the world. And Anna Maria, I loved what you said about bridging continents, because I know personally you are doing that amazingly. You've been here in Mexico, and you're based in Europe, and you go to the States and Africa. And even on this call, we have many different parts of the world represented. And that's so important, because we do need to build planetary coherence as well as within ourselves and our organizations. So we've had such rich wisdom shared from our discussion leaders today, but I'd also love to hear from those evolutionary leaders in the Zoom room who have had experience building coherence in your own lives, in your own work. So if you'd like to speak, please raise your hand electronically if you're able, and let's see what you would like to contribute to the conversation. Juan Carlos, I know that you did a lot of work with Barbara Marx Hubbard on this subject.
Well, and with us, he was, we were really starting off with the life cycle of emergence and the magic canoe. And how does that work, Juan Carlos?
Yes, definitely. Well, there is a lot. Thank you for the amazing work. It's so inspiring. And yes, I started very early, like with Kara and in the masters in Sweden with the Magic Canoe building, and that evolved into the School of Social Alchemy that is in a way leading the capacities for communities to develop coherence at a global scale. So that's something that I would love to keep working with all of you and further evolving. And right now I am working, I would love to synergize more with all of you. We are starting the process right now to bring pretty much everything you just said to start practicing at the community level with bioregions. We are starting to work in Colombia, Mexico, and New England. And we're in conversations with the Noble Foundation to get the first rounds of funding to get to start prototyping a protocol for community engagement. We are calling that the Planetary Party, and there is a lot of work that is happening. So I think the work that I envision, and as I posted from, the last conversation I had with Elizabeth Satoris, is what will it take for humanity to connect the leaders, the change makers, and achieve the capacities to take actions, everybody all at once, collectively. So congratulations for the work. And I don't know, like perhaps I could share something very briefly, just a snapshot of what we are building, and that could just spark the imagination of what is emerging across bioregions. Let me just quickly share something of our work. Can you see this?
Wow, gorgeous.
So this is, can you see it still?
Well, it's gone now.
Okay, let me just
put it back. Put it back.
Put it back.
Okay, I was just trying to make it bigger. But yeah, this is, we're building a protocol, a living ecosystem celebrating life and resources. So we're still using the wheel as the framework for community.
Not seeing it yet. Not seeing it.
Oh, not seeing yet. Okay, hold a second. What is happening
I'm
here?
not anyway.
Okay. Let me just share. Can you see now?
Yes.
That's right.
Okay, thank you. So yes, this is, we're building this protocol with Kinship Foundation, and there are like 15 organizations working with us in developing this already. And we're building a framework for collective intelligence using the wheel. And we're building a system of guilds to develop social synergy tools to serve bioregions. So we're building the tools, and I would love to integrate everything you are doing. We have a beautiful team with bringing experts on every field to bring solutions. And these are the first communities that are raising their hands saying we want to start prototyping this. And so we are using the concept of the planetary party as community assemblies. Could be boring perhaps for some people, but if we do a party, everybody will be there. So it is that through art, culture, and music, we use civic assemblies, methodologies, and bringing people to talk, but we do it in a celebratory way. So we are also having conversations with different organizations developing community intelligence tools to have a dashboard combining the best of the concepts of the synergy engine and the vital signs monitor to measure the vitality of communities. We are partnering with an organization called the Dream Tank that is also building financial instruments to finance communities' actions that are agreeing on what to do. So all of this needs to happen using the tools that you just mentioned in terms of how do we build greater coherence. Right now, our fiscal sponsor is Kinship Earth Flow Funding, that was started by Marion Rockefeller as a concept of building the bridge between funders to build trust bonds with community leaders so they can wisely distribute resources at the ground level. So anyhow, I just wanted to share this as the work I've been working lately, and I would love all of you to help contribute. And something important behind all of this is also the work I'm doing with Jean and John, holding the interstellar university concept as how do we build cities of the future so we can eventually reach collective and universal consciousness.
Well, thank you so much, Juan Carlos. That was very, very exciting. And you're also, you and Kara have made it, I think, very clear to us how important visuals are for our understanding, to get us away from our simple left brain intelligence into the wholeness of how we receive information and connect to it. So congratulations on that as well. That was very stunning visually. Jean and John.
Yeah, you got the artist seal of approval there. Wow, beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, Juan Carlos, thank you. Because as you were talking, I was thinking all of this, everything that Teresa, you, Anne Marie, and Cara have been talking about. Where I was going is I thought the vision of the Interstellar University vision. I mean, this is much bigger than what we may think of as university. This actually has to do with the concept of the next step of the species, a human species, as it begins to evolve and moves into this much higher frequency. And so as I was listening to you, and Juan Carlos, you touched on it. I see this as planting, what we're doing is we're helping the species, the human species itself, get to the level to where then communication, healthy communication, ongoing, moving beyond our planet and into other systems can happen in an extraordinary way. So you guys are you're doing amazing work, and just so much respect for you. Thank you. And thank you, Juan Carlos, again.
Thank you. And thank you all for the amazing work that you're doing. And
that's this network, isn't it? Because I mean, so much of our practice is by all of us here showing up in these different places and being able to be vulnerable and aware and sharing. And so it's such a blessing in that sense. I can see, I don't know how, Carlos, I guess you too, but since since I've been here, it's just really gone so much more easy, let me say, to find places where there are people that really are open to really purposefully looking for new ways of working together. So thank you all for that, because we can do this on our poofs here at home between the lakes, but without Zoom, where would I be?
Any of us. This does allow us a level of coherence that we never could have before Zoom. So thank you, Zoom. I just want to mention before we continue here that we'll have a few more minutes of discussion among those of you who are on the call, and this part of the recording will be public. And then we will have a very brief private session that will not be shared with the public, that Krull will lead us in, where we do a kind of a fun exercise in finding out how coherent we are as a community of evolutionary leaders, and that will be private. So, Charles.
Well, yes, thank you, everyone. And Juan Carlos, I hope you're still working on the fearless power of love, and that'll be part of what you're bringing forth, right? That was one of the highlights of the wave with you and Reverend Deb and Barbara. I'm continuing the little work that Jude keeps motivating me to keep on keeping on for radical collaboration. And we're pretty close to having 3 different versions of $100 million RFP targeted to the 25 funders who've announced $2 billion available for AI and humanity and AI and economic opportunity. So I've been spending a lot of time looking at foundation proposals and templates. And what this cause inspired me to see, and actually went over and bought the domain names for transformational quotient and coherence quotient. And I can see the major foundation funders saying you cannot submit an application until you're submitting your certificate of completion from the Hague Center, that you understand and you have embedded the coherence quotient. I had a privilege of meeting with the G group of the DRTC a few days ago, and they have a beautiful need and a plan for $100,000. Well, why not fold the template for how every foundation proposal ought to require the transformational quotient? So if you're interested, let's radically collaborate. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Is there anyone else who would like to speak about coherence? I'm looking at you, Summer Joy, because I'd like to hear a little bit about One World, and then we can hear from Mama Ivy Shadia.
Well, thank you for calling out to me. I am just so want to just congratulate the clarity of my 3 dear sisters that shared today, and how instrumental all 3 of them are. And I would say the radiance of One World has a lot to do with all 3 of them and their work, that we really, coming into this Zoom room, it's like, oh yeah, wow, look at that. We all do so much together, Rev Deb and Scott Thomas. And I mean, I could just look at all of you and go, wow, look at all the things we've been up to. But I know you don't want me to do that. So I just want to share that, yeah, along with all of what you're doing, there is a beautiful ongoing convergence happening in December that started with Hereditary Chief Phil Lane Jr. 7 years ago. And there is a real beautiful honoring too of 52 tracking for 52 months in a row, the women prayers that happen every 22nd of every month is going to be honored, the 52nd, which for a Mayan perspective of looking at time, that's quite an incredible consistent gathering. So it will be a ceremonial time for 4 days. And I put the link in the chat, and I won't go into too much of the details, like come join us around the sacred fire. We will be, you know, with the solstice, and that's really the harnessing of the sacred fire will be in the center of everything that we'll be up to, and also just being, you know, that space of the cardinal directions. And at least for me in the Northern Hemisphere, I'm really feeling that kind of quiet time in the balance of what we're up to and also resting into. So that's something I'm personally really looking forward to, nourishing that spiritual, the darkness, and the light. So thank you. And yeah, just check it out and join us.
If I can just add one thing somewhere, because I think really, if I look at enlightening our way together, how it's being designed now, it's totally something else. It's really up leveling and bringing and integrating all that we've been learning with AI. Because when we started in 2022, we didn't have the AI at our fingertips like we have now. I think we would have done it very differently. But especially also under John's leadership, but also Patricia and Davis, and it's going to be really remarkable and amazing. So I really encourage us all to join in and learn with us, because it's all part of a learning journey too. 19 till 22nd of December, enlightening our way together.
Yeah,
The 18th.
absolutely. Yes.
Thank you so much. And thank you for also reminding us of the different qualities of our work as evolutionary leaders, or should I say service, maybe rather than work, because we are engaged in the building our intellectual capacities, as the Higgs Center has shown us all of this amazing information. And then we're reaching out to one another the way the connection field is doing. And we also have people who are deeply engaged with the earth, like Juan Carlos and Chief Phil. And Summer, you reminded us that we are also an organization or a community of people who are deeply engaged spiritually, and that is a key component of the transformation that we are all serving at this terribly important moment in time here on planet Earth. So I think we're getting some sound from Mama Ivy.
Oh, you can hear me?
She brings in yet another component, which is the arts. And that is another way to build coherence. Some friends and I watched The Wizard of Oz together last night again. When's the last time you saw that film? And I had never seen it on a 50-inch screen before. And there was such a sense of coherence, of togetherness in the room, just of people experiencing that magnificent work of art together. And Mama Ivy brings in sound vibronics. So what would you like to say to us today?
Well, today just happened to be a day that I'm still and really focused inward on recreating myself, my work, my life in this new and changing environment. Everything that has happened, in Washington, D.C. has impacted me and my work. Not my work, but the resources of how to get my work done. And so I've decided to make a shift, and I'm working on the Executive Coherence Frequency Guide for Educators.
Woo.
Because there's so much going on right now in schools, and then most of our professions have been degraded as of last week. I don't know exactly what that really means. As a social worker, as an educator, they now have created a new executive order that we are no longer in a professional category. So that impacts the bottom line, okay? So I'm working on creating a product, and this guide helps equip leaders, educators, and leaders with the science and practice of coherence through sound frequencies. And by aligning leadership energy with intentional sound and breath practices and intentional thought forms, that's the whole idea of what sound vibronics is all about. Educators can foster healthy school cultures, stronger relationships, and improve student learning outcomes. For 20 years or more, I was working in schools doing restorative justice and using sound healing as a way to shift consciousness, not only for the adults, but also for the youth and the students in the school. So what I've been doing is testing, evaluating what these various frequencies do in the educational environment. And I've come up with, I think, 8 different frequencies that help to improve school culture. Grounding for meetings and for circles, releasing stress and regulating emotions, aligning decision-making, inviting innovative and transformational concepts, more importantly, around the coherence of the educator. And I like the idea of the island concept because I'm finding that there are so many cultural factions in the school system, but somehow if we could find a way to create a coherence with all the various factions, then we can all be on one accord through restorative practices, conflict resolution, visionary leadership. I'm hoping that these various frequencies not only impact the classroom or in meetings. I'm encouraging some schools, and they have already done it, purchase the crystal bowl sets. We do the hourly meditative reflection every hour. No matter what you're doing in the school, they stop. They play the frequencies over the intercom, and they give the entire school one coherent thought to focus on. So every hour, I don't know how many are actually still doing it, but I know of 4 that are very close to me that it has become a part of their school culture. And so we're starting to, I'm starting to just write this now. I'm starting to write about my experiences and come up with a masterclass that I'm calling the Vertex Method. And I won't go too deep into that because I haven't fully evolved in that area, but the vertex is really a medical term that implies and encourages the coherence of mind, body, spirit. I found out that vertex is literally a medical term for in maternity, so that at the point of birth is where the vertex is. So when we find the vertex, we're in coherence with our mind, body, spirit, and the world. And I'm encouraging teachers to start their staff meetings with 2 or 3 minutes, of coherence, sound, and breath before the day begins. We're talking about modulating emotion in the school environment, building relationships and ritual through frequency. So, for example, and I will close with the idea of using 136 hertz, 432 hertz, 528 hertz. A new one that I hadn't worked with before is 852, and that's visionary leadership and clarity, purpose-driven, and culture building. And that's the one that I'm going to encourage schools to play over the intercom during those 1-hour breath breaks. No matter what is going on, every hour on the hour, they stop. Now, I learned that in India when I went to India with Sister Jenna. And I noticed that no matter what was going on, in the middle of a sentence, the whole community, and I'm talking about the whole community, would hear this. They called it traffic stop. So I'm saying, how do we integrate that into our school system, particularly with what's going on with education now? They're going to need a lot of support. So that's my thought. I've been spending my time writing and researching and developing my master class.
Wow, congratulations. The science of sound in service of coherence in education. It's brilliant. And thank you so much for sharing that with us today. And I also see, I wish we had time to hear from everybody here, because I see evolutionary leaders in this room who are building coherence in entertainment and the media. Sandra de Castro Buffington is here, and in visionary philanthropy like Olivia Hanson, and just every one of you, Scott Katamas with the Global Peace Tribe. All of you are building this sense of coherence that can truly empower our evolutionary leadership as individuals and as a global community, including anybody who is watching this video right now. So we're going to close the public part of what we're doing now and just say a deep thank you to Anna Marie Voorhoeve and Kara Stonehouse of the Hague Center, to Teresa Collins and Julie Krull of the Connection Field and so much more, and Catapult, and all of the initiatives that you brought forward today. Thank you so much for this very rich and informative and also inspiring discussion on coherence.